Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, coming to you live from Lagos. A reminder of our major stories. The Nigerian Air Force plans a special operations in its fight against terrorism, pipeline vandalism and other crimes across the country. The federal government is to implement a reward system in the civil service, challenges public servants on innovative ideas. In continuation of our review of 2016, tonight we focus on the power sector. And Ghana gets a new president as Nana Akufo-Addo is sworn in Accra. For more on our top stories and others, please visit our website, channelstv.com and youtube.com/channelsweb. You can also watch us on the go on your mobile device. Log on to m.channelstv.com or download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows phones from the respective stores. Having the Channels TV and Channels 24 apps will give you access to news and updates. You also have the Eyewitness feature, so you too can be part of the news. Just install the app, then tap and swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu and follow the instructions to share those pictures, videos or news of happenings around you. Well, let's take a look at some of the pictures you sent into our Eyewitness portal. First is this picture from Benin Ore Expressway, where a tanker truck loaded with petrol was seen burning on the road. Our Eyewitness reporter is asking the Federal Road Safety Corps to step up and be more vigilant to avert such occurrence. The next one is from Iswa Akoko Ibilo Expressway, Ondo State. Our Eyewitness reporter says the road is a major link between the southwest and the capital city, Abuja, and is appealing to the authorities in charge to fix it. Still in Ondo State, this time from Akoko Southeast, comes this image of an officer checking vehicle documents of a road user. Our Eyewitness reporter wonders why the police still check vehicle documents. And finally, from Apo Dankogi Junction in the Federal Capital Territory comes this picture of cattle blocking some parts of the road. Our Eyewitness reporter wants the FCT authority to do something about it. We'd like to thank all our Eyewitness reporters for sending in those pictures, and please encourage you to keep them coming. Now, the Nigerian Army says it has repelled an attack by suspected members of the Boko Haram sect in Buniyadi, the headquarters of Gujba local government area of Yobe State, northeast Nigeria. Military spokesman of the 27th Task Force Brigade in Buniyadi, Lieutenant George Okupa, who confirmed the attack, said the insurgents stormed the town around 6 this evening. He said casualty on the part of the locals, security forces and insurgents is yet to be known, and more details of the attack will be made known as they unfold. The General Overseer of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, RCCG, Pastor Enoch Adeboye, has stepped down as the leader of the church in Nigeria. It was gathered that Pastor Adeboye will still maintain oversight of the church across the world, which now has presence in over 190 countries. Pastor Adeboye announced his retirement from the leadership of the Nigerian church today during the annual Ministers' Thanksgiving at Shimawa, Ogun State. The 75-year-old revered cleric has named Joshua Obayemi as his replacement and asked members of the church to pray for the new leadership. The announcement was made in the presence of the Vice President, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, alongside other senior pastors of the church. Pastor Adeboye took over the leadership of the RCCG from the late Josiah Akindayomi, who founded the church in 1952. It was during his leadership that the church expanded to many parts of the country and around the world. Now, the federal government says it will be pursuing an energy mix to guarantee increased supply of electricity in 2017. This decision has become necessary in view of the constant challenges in getting gas to fire most power plants in the country. In continuation of our 2016 review of sectors, our energy correspondent Olu Phillips looks at issues in the sector in 2016.
Nigeria made history in 2016 with regards to energy supply. For the first time in 56 years as an independent nation, we generated over 5,000 megawatts of electricity. That, however, didn't happen by wishful thinking. In November 2013, the former president, Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, led the nation to cross the threshold of public ownership of power utilities to private entities. Despite the divergent opinion as to the structure of that consummated deal, the fact remains that Nigeria took a giant leap to recovery through that decision. Then came the next set of challenges. Shortly after the February achievement of 5,074 megawatts, gas and crude lines in the Delta region began to explode. Some aggrieved entities claimed responsibility for the attacks. The result? Generation fell to all-time low with system collapsing severally. Revenue to the country didn't just go low. About 3,000 megawatts of power became stranded because there were no gas to fire the plants. While that happened, the last man in the line of production, the consumer, raised their voice louder to lament poor electricity supply worsened by a tariff hike that has remained despite a court ruling to the contrary.
There has never been an appreciable improvement. Okay? For instance, now you come to shop in the morning, the light is off, only for it to come around 6 or 7.
The former governor of Lagos State pretends over that sector. Mr. Fix-It, as he is popularly known, seemed challenged. One of his responses is to inaugurate a monthly stakeholders meeting where the problems are tackled.
Every sector of that value chain has its problems and we need to solve them. The problem in the power sector is not a technical problem. It's a human problem. It's problems caused by men and women, and we're going to deal with them.
Matters were made worse with the metering gap. Consumers would rather have a smart meter before paying any higher than the other way around, which the distribution companies insist will provide liquidity for buying those meters.
I have not seen anything they have done to warrant them to increase the tariff. We only place on estimated bills. So that estimated bill, how are they estimating? What are they using in assessing that? And how are they going to increase the tariffs?
We didn't meter the whole country in 63 years that we have been producing electricity. Do we honestly and fairly think that the whole country can be fully metered in 3 years because it's in the hands of private people? That's no excuse. And for me, what I'm asking the discos to do when we hold our monthly meetings, give me your commitment for electricity meters. This year, how many people will you meter? I want to hold you to your own commitment because that will become the basis for me to sanction you.
The Senate Committee on Privatization and House Committee on Power also had a busy period trying to find solutions to the power in the year under review. A strong case has been made for patronizing locally manufactured meters, but the funding gap, which currently stands at 900 billion naira, leaves a lot to worry about.
The government still needs to come to our aid to ensure that we have uniformity in terms of the way our meter looks like, so that it will be easier for us to create some other SME companies to produce small nuts, packaging, labeling, and so on and so forth. And those are the small-scale jobs that will create another value addition for the sector, if truly we want to create employment.
Another talking point in the year that just rolled by was exchange rate. Most equipments in the sector are priced in dollars, including the cost of gas, and so when the gap widened, not much could be achieved.
Access to foreign exchange and the rate itself has dramatically affected the capacity of the companies that bought these assets to deploy all that they desired right from the outset to give electricity to the Nigerian populace.
Most definitely, 2017 will be a defining year for the government of the day. Though power has been privatized, but government plays a critical role in galvanizing the operating environment. In 2017 and beyond, nothing will suffice for power consumers than an incremental, steady, and maybe uninterrupted power supply. The expectation is already on the way. Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.
My next guest on the news at 10 will be talking about the power sector in 2016. Dapo Akionshu is an energy consultant and a partner with Simeon Corpus Chambers. Good evening to you, and thank you for joining us on the news at 10.
Good evening. Thank you very much.
So, in that report, Olu Phillips has outlined how 2016 was for Nigeria, particularly with the power sector. How would you rate that sector's performance? Good, fair, or bad?
I will say the sector has performed decently well.
Decently well, but then you still hear Nigerians complaining that they don't have power.
We're in a catch-22 situation. As the minister said, the problems in the power sector are human problems. They're human challenges. And which one do we fix first? The power companies are complaining, and which is very correct, that the market is not generating enough income to service their bills. The gas company that produces gas, which is about 60% of the component of gas, of the power generated, is not able to recover its money. The investments are made in dollars. And if you look at it, in the last year, there has been a lot of investment in the gas industry, in spite of the challenges with vandalism. I know a company like Seven Energy has done a 70-kilometer gas pipeline to Calabar. Total has just completed another gas pipeline, and these are in millions of dollars. But they are not able to recover the money because the last mile, the discos, are not able to recover the money to pay everybody. The generation companies are being paid about 20% of what bills they send out. I know for certainty, because I work close with them, the NIPP, for instance, is being owed over 140 billion naira. Gas alone costs them 60%, and you pay them 18% of the total invoice. It doesn't talk of operational costs and other expenses they need to carry.
So who's going to be closing that gap for them?
It is a difficult thing, and until we come, I heard one of the people on the news saying he doesn't see the reason for them to pay more. And the question is, if the money that is generated now is not enough to pay, every day there's a 650 million naira loss on a daily basis, which translates to about 20 billion every month. Somebody has to pick those tabs. If it is not paid for eventually, we will still continue to run our generators and sit in darkness. So we have to come to a point. I hear people today talking about, and some still say with pride, that they bypass the meters. Even rich people are happy to bypass their meters. These bills are carried by somebody. And until we come to a position where we all admit that rather than run generators, we will pay more for power. I was in a private estate over the Christmas, and the man was saying now they've gone to a private power generation, how clean the environment is, the noise that has reduced from the cacophony of generators. They're paying a little more, but when he did the calculation, ultimately, it's actually lower to pay more for power generated publicly than to run your own generators.
But Mr. Akionshu, as we're entering 2017 and taking a look at all the sticky issues, one of the most, the one that sticks out for most Nigerians is the increase in electricity prices. So for 2017, how can this stalemate be addressed?
I think there are two ways to address it.
That we don't really have much time.
One is the legislature has to be carried along. There has to be more engagement between the legislature and the and the power generating companies, because every time they meet is almost always during investigation. The judiciary also has to be carried along to understand the reason to enforce laws that are in the power sector.
Dr. Akioshun, energy consultant, thank you so much for your perspectives on the news at 10.
Thank you.
When the news at 10 returns, Nigeria's debt office plans to auction 430 billion naira in the first quarter of 2017. That's on Business News. Stay with us.